I previously worked at Birmingham City Council, and as part of that, I was responsible for putting the bid together in terms of the transport requirements that we needed to manage the games. And then since then, I've now joined the Transport for West Midlands as Director of Network Resilience, looking at congestion management and managing quite a big investment programme around our transport infrastructure, and mostly the impacts of that delivery, and that role naturally leads me into developing the operational plan for the games, so to make sure that we are able to move people around really effectively, and also minimising the disruption on the wider networks within the West Midlands. Collectively, the transport projects, including things like HS2, take us into the billions. But obviously the schemes associated with the games are sort of in the region of about 250 million, 300 million as part of those projects. So the main transport schemes will be around some of the rail infrastructure. So where we've got new stations or stations that need to be improved quite close to the venues, so things like Perry Bar Station, and also the University Station in Selly Oak, where we have some of the events taking place, making sure that we're taking the current limitations that those stations offer and have the ability to deal with the additional capacity of passengers that will be running through during the games time as well, plus also making sure that we're meeting our growing demand, which we have here in the West Midlands anyway. The other big project will be the Bus Rapid Transit scheme. So currently under development and not yet operational on our road network, we will be introducing 3 corridors which will service the games infrastructure over in Perry Bar, where the main stadium and the Athletes Village will be, and also through the A45 onto the NEC area, where there's also a cluster of venues operating around there. And of course that will also link in Birmingham International Station and the airport. So one of the biggest examples of where we might have some issues around ongoing works during the games is particularly around the delivery of HS2. So obviously one of the biggest infrastructure projects in the UK at the moment, and we don't want to unduly delay that by having to ask them to stop work for a period of time. So we're working very closely with HS2 to look at how we can make sure that they can still continue the delivery of that during games time, particularly around where they've got works around some of the venues or within Birmingham city centre itself, which probably will be the main arrival point for people coming into the city, and making sure that their work programmes are adjusted accordingly, but it still enables them to do what they need to do by the time that they need to do it by. So some of the early work that we're doing is to look at our procurement pipeline. We know that within our capital programme we're going to need support in doing the detailed design. We've already got some technical support in on that already, just given the timescales that we're working to. But we will need to also have people who are able to deliver on the ground, so the pipeline of contractors support to do that delivery. And we're looking to start some of those works next year, 2019, to make sure that they're completed well ahead of the games as well. The other side of the procurement routes will be around some of the technical support for the operational plan. So what do we need to do in terms of procurement of transport services, so temporary bus shuttle services, so in terms of transport operators supporting some of that as well, and we'll be putting together a procurement pipeline around that, working with the organising committee around transport requirements for the actual games family themselves, so the athletes and the officials as part of that. Some of the other stuff will be around developing the operational plan, the traffic management solutions, development of the games route network, the stuff around the venues and protecting local residents and businesses around those as well. So doing the sort of detailed design work around traffic management and then delivery of that on the ground with contractors who are able to do that as well. Obviously the delivery of the operational plan will be very close to the games, but the design work will probably come a couple of years earlier to make sure that we can go through the right iterations as we get more detail about or more confirmed information about what the athletes will be, how many spectators we're expecting and where they're coming from as well. In terms of some of the new emerging technologies that we've got in the sort of transport mobility space, is how can we plan for making best use of those within the games. In some respects 4 years is not a long time for us to plan and deliver the services that we've got, and those new emerging technologies might not yet be ready or proven to support the games, but how can we make sure that we leave the space within our thinking so that where they do emerge as a potential solution, we can introduce them. And of course, connected and autonomous vehicles, electric vehicles in the West Midlands is a really important part of our economy. So the likes of Jaguar Land Rover and some of our other car manufacturers, you know, are really at pace delivering some of the new models that we would need. How can we make sure that we can demonstrate the West Midlands economically as a sort of a test bed for some of this stuff? So we are making sure that we can, where we can, use these new technologies, use these new services as part of the plan for the Games.